Welcome to Frankfurt, Nick.
Thank you.
I guess this is your second time?
Second time.
It is. And we're so glad to have you here, by the way. And
my pleasure. Aerospace engineer. Started writing after my daughter's death. I wrote my first book, The Medical Project. Tried to figure out, I was going to write a technical book. And then I decided no one's going to buy a technical book, making an action thriller, fictional. And so there's a couple of stars in that book, and they're trying to change the whole medical industry. And they were successful in doing it. And so they became stars, and so that led on to the leadership program book. And it's kind of like a series where the same people that are in the medical project book are also in the leadership program. And believe it or not, they're the same people that are in my fourth book, which is the leaders in the space program. So and I got 2 more books I'm working on. The second book was more of a book about schizophrenia and self-help. And I wrote that book because of my son who has suffering mental illness. So a little bit about me is I'm an aerospace engineer that started writing after a while. And it really helps me, relieves me, so to speak. I do like the writing part. The part that is very difficult is dealing with all the people like yourself in the selling and marketing part, but I do enjoy the writing part a lot. Maybe there'll be a few people that buy my books, and then I'm hoping that there'll be a movie deal that you guys will be able to sell, or a big publishing house will buy all my books. So if I can help in that area, that's great. Just getting out there and letting people know what I do and who I am and about my books. The self-help book is a book that my son is when he was 19, diagnosed with schizophrenia. And schizophrenic people are usually in and out of hospitals, in and out of jail sometimes, because in his case, he saw something on a post and he thought that thing on the post was a bomb or something and called the police. You and I would look at it and we say, that's a thing on a post, it's not going to hurt me. But he would look at it and say, oh, this could be a dangerous thing. And so he calls the police, please come. They said, your son won't come out of the house. I said, well, he's probably afraid. Why? Did he tell you about the thing on the post? This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I end up trying to talk to the police, trying to get him out of the house. And it ended up where, he was afraid. And a lot of people that are schizophrenic get afraid. And they tear gas the whole house. Luckily, he's alive because these were rockets being sent into your house. And so 2 o'clock in the morning, they drag him out of the house. I end up having to go to court, and he got off really not guilty because of insanity, because he saw something that he thought was there that wasn't there. And so when he went before a judge, this is why I wrote this book. He went before a judge. The judge said, you understand this illness better than anybody that's ever come before me, because he explained his whole life. He was like 3rd year of college, studying to be an engineer. And then all of a sudden, boom, he gets this. And I said, we'll write a book. You write it from someone that has got this illness. I'll write it from the standpoint of how it affects the family. Because anybody that has any mental illness in a family, one person, it affects the whole family. And so we thought we would write this book together. He would write it from the standpoint of what he went through, and I'll write it. And also, he wrote more than half the book. I learned more, so he is progressed himself to a point where he's able to live on his own. That's why it's how he became well and how he was able to live in his community. And that book has been getting a lot of, I guess, advertisement. It's been getting a lot of people that say, you know, this really has helped me because I see a person that was mentally ill and how he's progressed and how it's happened. And it's funny, there should be no one, I believe, in this world that becomes schizophrenic. Because when I started talking with him on why he became schizophrenic, he was saying when he was in college, like a lot of kids, they smoke marijuana, you know, or I didn't, but kids do. They go to parties, they get drunk, they smoke marijuana. Single, good-looking kid, that's what he did. And I said, well, why? How much were you smoking? He says, every day I would smoke marijuana. And when your brain is being formed between the ages of 15 and 25, if you start going into psychosis, your brain doesn't get formed correctly, especially if you have a gene in your family where maybe in the past somebody was mentally ill. And back then, they used to hide it. You would never know. You know, they used to hide it quite a bit. So somewhere, and I don't know who, in my family, I'm sure, or my wife's family, had that gene. And then the best way to stay away from becoming schizophrenic is don't take drugs, don't smoke marijuana, try not to get yourself drunk when your brain is being formed. Once your brain is formed, you and I, fine, because our brain is pretty well formed. But when you're growing up and it's still being formed, don't do it. Don't take the chance. Some people can smoke all the marijuana they want and then nothing will happen to them because they may not have that gene. But you don't even know that you have that gene. So the thing is, to be on the safe side, just don't do it. And so that's why they're thinking of putting that book in a lot of bookstores close to universities and things like that. The Medical Project was a book we went to, my wife and I went to a doctor because my daughter was not feeling good. So we went to a doctor and we said, he diagnosed her having cervical cancer. And so I asked the doctor, I said, where, you know, I can afford to send her, what hospital's best, what doctors are the best for curing cervical cancer? And he said, we can do it here. And he had like 3 or 4 doctors, and they said, we can take care of it here. And I'm sure they did the best they could, but they weren't the best. And so when she died, you know, 2 or 3 years later, I said, I got to write a book about, you know, people should be able to go to their primary care physician. Primary care physician should type in something, cervical cancer, and they'd say, okay, there's a place in Turkey. This guy has a cure rate of like 90%, and this is the procedure he uses. Boom. And there's nothing like that. So I said, we've got to have a medical computer because our computers these days, we're not using our technology as well as we should. And we should be able to stop things like that. So anybody that has, forget it, any kind of cancer, colon cancer or something, this is the best colorectal surgeon in the United States or in the world, and they have a cure rate. This is the best doctor. That should be readily available to you and everybody else. And that's why we would have never had COVID if we had anything like this, a medical computer. Because your watch right now tells you, okay, this is your temperature, this is your blood oxygen, everything's on your watch. If you had a medical computer, all that stuff is being fed up to this computer, you would have known within a 10-mile square radius, people are dying, people are, you know, their oxygen, blood oxygen is above a certain level, they have a temperature, you'd say, okay, there's something going on in that region, and you can stop it before it spreads all over the world. So we're not using our technology as well, and that's why I wrote the Medical Project. To make it an action thriller, there's people that are solving the problem, and there's people that are saying, we don't want you to solve the problem because we like making the money we're making right now. We don't want to let's keep the medical industry the way it is. And it's not, we're not using our technology. And that's what the medical project's about. It's a fiction. Yeah. Really, I never have, they say you get a block. I never have a medical block. I never have a writer's block. I don't. I mean, because there's so many things that you can do to improve this world, and you can just think about them. And if it's fiction, you can make it any way you want. That's the nice thing about, some of these books I'm writing now about space, because I have an aerospace engineering degree. And so you can think of so many things that can make this world a better place. That's all you want to do when you're writing. You just want to say, okay, this book will help other people, or you can change in the world better. Yeah. I really get as much out of book signings than I think they can ask me any question they want, because it's all out there. I mean, everything is in my book, or it's on my website that you guys developed, 𝐒𝐞𝐥𝐿Books.com. They can learn all about me. They can learn all about my books. But I enjoy, like last time I was here, I learned that there's high school kids. And I said, are you really going to read these 10 books? They're carrying these books. And they said, yeah, we're going to read them. And I said, where do you go to school? Because when I was in high school, I was thinking about, okay, where's the next party I'm going to go to? I mean, these guys, they're carrying books. They're going to read these books. And it's interesting to see in the German school system is really, really good. I lived in Japan for about 3 years. And the Japanese schooling system is very, very good. If you look at SAT scores, they're good. German kids are good. For some reason, also in the northern countries, the United States is not scoring that high. And that's in one of my books. How do we improve? How do we get our kids to be better on their SAT scores? And also they stay away from crime. I mean, in Japan, they sell liquor, they sell everything in these machines like Coca-Cola. But there's no kids that go and buy it. I mean, they just do not do it because they knew that would hurt them, it would hurt their family, it would, if they get caught or anything like that. And that's not drilled in just with the family, that's also drilled in the schools. And so in one of my books, I talk about how we can improve the education system. And Germany is a good example of kids I didn't realize, but when I'm talking to some high school kids, they're saying, well, yeah, we go to a charter school. And I said, oh, so your parents don't want you living at your house? He said, yeah, no, you have to have a certain IQ to get into this charter school. And we don't have that. I don't even know what my IQ is. They do, they check your IQ, but you never know. For some reason, they never give it. And you usually get tested, I don't know, in junior high. Here, and you get into certain schools if you have a certain type of IQ. So I learn a lot by these book signings. I really do. I enjoy it that way because you get to meet a lot of different people. Right. And they're all smart.
Exactly.
I'm very, very happy with Jim Addison, also the president of your company. She's very nice. And so I'm very happy with Inks and Binding. You've got to find a movie deal. You've got to find a big publishing deal. I'm looking for, that to happen. And but I enjoy working with you guys. You're a good company. I really do. Enjoy working with your whole group. Really.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Nick.
Put it on my website.
You're doing great. That was great.